Time passes. The four relax, sunbathing and chatting about astronomy under the beach umbrella. Ravioli returns with a focaccia overloaded with cheese. Ravioli. Hey guys. Look what I found at that pizza place. A mascarpone focaccia. A real bomb. Just as he's biting into the focaccia, a loud blast breaks the calm. They all turn around sharply and, on the horizon, see a giant mushroom-shaped cloud rising from the direction of the inherited house, the one they had sold. Banani. It's coming from Arcibaldo's house. Papaya. An explosion? Why? Igor. That rich guy must have found the machine in the secret lab. Ravioli. Judging by the blast, I'd say it didn't work. They exchange worried looks as smoke rises behind the hills. A few minutes later, fire truck sirens can be heard rushing to the scene. Meanwhile, from the sea, Ravioli spots something unusual in the distance. Ravioli. What's that thing? Papaya. A shark. The object approaches slowly. From beneath the water emerges a small handmade submarine, built out of rusty metal sheets, styrofoam, and duct tape. The awkward noise of a pedal-powered motor struggling to push the vessel fills the air. The hatch opens with a creak, and, theatrically, Arcibaldo Banani himself pops out, wearing a wetsuit. Arcibaldo. Greetings, colleagues. Banani. Uncle Arcibaldo. Weren't you dead? Arcibaldo. My death? A setup. A farce worthy of a spy novel. Banani. But, why? Arcibaldo. I assume you've met Mr. Rickenfurby. Papaya. Let me guess, the rich guy who bought your country house? Arcibaldo. That's him. My arch enemy, bent on stealing my invention and using it to get rich illegally. Banani. So you faked your death and left Banani that house, that machine, and everything else? Arcibaldo. Exactly, my dear nephew. I left it there, easy to find and out in the open. To fool that rich guy. Papaya. Rickenfurby thought he had gotten his hands on your invention. Arcibaldo. I made him believe it. But the real invention was safe, with me, in my true secret lab. Banani. Uncle, are you saying you planted a bomb in the machine to get rid of Rickenfurby once and for all? Arcibaldo. Well, that would have been a good idea. But I'm a scientist for good. A bit crazy, but still good. I would never do such a thing. In fact, the machine was supposed to almost work, almost, but not really, just enough to trick him. Ravioli. Then why did it explode? Arcibaldo. No idea. Maybe a few miscalculations. Or maybe I just ran out of electrical tape. Banani. You should have known better, uncle. Never use regular tape, never. Arcibaldo. You're right, nephew. But I was in a rush, and I took a gamble. Anyway, I'd like to ask you all to follow me. I want to show Banani my real secret lab. Banani. Of course, uncle. It's a real honor. Ravioli. Are we getting in the submarine? Arcibaldo. No, it's a single-seater. I'm afraid you'll have to walk along the beach. Arcibaldo goes back into the submarine and starts moving noisily along the shoreline. The others follow awkwardly, under the curious stares of the other beachgoers. They slowly move away from the umbrellas and arrive at a secluded cliff. Arcibaldo invites them to follow him between two large rocks. In front of them stands a massive iron gate. Arcibaldo whistles a certain melody, and the gate opens automatically. He parks the submarine by tying it with a rope to a column and leads them down a corridor lined with recycled tiles. There, a second door opens by spitting on a sensor. And finally, they enter a large room filled with scientific equipment, chalkboards covered in formulas, a desk, and other typical scientist tools. At the center of the room stands a large machine, identical to the one in the country house. Arcibaldo approaches it and begins to talk about his invention. Arcibaldo. Have you ever heard that vegetables are good for you? Ravioli. It's been my personal tragedy since I was 7. Arcibaldo. And why don't you like vegetables, ravioli? Ravioli. Honestly, no offense, they taste like lawn clippings. Arcibaldo. Excellent observation. And that's exactly the point. Vegetables are rich in fiber and vitamins, but they're missing something very important. Ravioli. They don't fill you up. Arcibaldo. Scientifically speaking, what they lack is the kind of protein you find in a good steak. Ravioli. A steak? Now we're talking. Arcibaldo. Now, try this carrot. Arcibaldo grabs a wooden crate full of strangely brown-colored carrots and holds it out to Ravioli. Ravioli. Vegetables. No way. Igor. Hand me one. Igor tastes the carrot. Igor. Delicious. Tastes like roast beef. Ravioli. Really? Ravioli picks up a carrot from the crate. Ravioli. It's true. Cooked just right. Even seasoned. Papaya. Vegetables with animal protein. Brilliant. Arcibaldo. Thank you. That's my invention. The machine performs a genetic fusion between animal and plant DNA. Arcibaldo opens a hatch in the machine that looks like it was salvaged from an old oven. Arcibaldo. See. Here we place the seeds, and here an animal DNA sample, for example, a cow hair. He closes the hatch and starts the machine. After a few seconds, it stops. Arcibaldo opens the hatch and pulls out a seed. Arcibaldo. There you go. Now you just plant it and water it like a normal carrot. And it works with any other vegetable and animal. For example, in this second crate, we have chicken-flavored zucchini. Banani. Amazing and genius. A full meal in a single veggie. Igor. With 3 zucchinis we could even feed Ravioli. Ravioli. This invention has completely changed my perspective on vegetables. Arcibaldo. And that's not all. Imagine large-scale production. We could fight world hunger. Papaya. But what about the ethics? Arcibaldo. The machine, theoretically, can fuse any DNA. Even human. That's why a committee should review the matter and create regulations. Until then, the invention must not fall into the wrong hands. Let's go back a few years in a flashback. Professor Fagiola, a former nasal psychologist, is locked in his cell at the city's criminal asylum. During the night, a new patient is brought into the cell next to Fagiola's. Fagiola asks the nurse. Who is it? Nurse. He's a scientist. Professor Fusibili. He used to work for that rich guy who controls the whole city. What's his name again? Fagiola. Rickon Furby. Nurse. Yes. That's the one. He went mad during an experiment. It's all over the papers. Fagiola. Interesting. The laboratory seems to end there. But Arcibaldo opens a narrow, creaky side door. Arcibaldo. Follow me. Beyond the door, a long stone corridor. In the background, loudspeakers play classical music. Arcibaldo opens a second gate. Outside, an immense field unfolds, as large as a stadium. Organized into geometric sections. Rows of all kinds of vegetables. Arcibaldo. Welcome to the heart of my research. Banani. Why the music? Does it help the vegetables grow? Arcibaldo. No, the plants don't care. I just like Mozart. Meanwhile, back to the flashback, when Fagiola starts talking to Fusibili. Fagiola is sitting near the wall. On the other side of the same wall sits Fusibili. Fagiola. Do you need help? I'm a psychologist. Fusibility. The carrots, they talk and jump. Fagiola. It's about the experiment. Fusibility. Yes, and I saw too much. That's why I'm here. Fagiola. I'm sane too. It was all a misunderstanding. Fusibility. Rickon Furby. He's ruthless. He must be stopped. Fagiola. What do you mean? Fusibility. He found notes from an unknown scientist. Arcibaldo Banani. Fagiola. Banani. The one who works at Nasal? Fusibility. No. That's his nephew. The old man works alone in a secret laboratory. Rickon Furby stumbled upon his research by chance. Fagiola. Research. On vegetables. Fusibility. Transgenic vegetables, and worse, mixed with animal DNA. Fagiola. Horrible. My father would never have allowed me to eat something like that. Fusibility. The idea isn't bad, but Rickon Furby went much further. He used human DNA. Fagiola. And you took part in the experiment. Fusibility. Yes. Something terrible. You plant a seed, and after a few months, from the ground rises a being halfway between a man and a vegetable. Fagiola. And what does he need these monsters for? Fusibility. They are very strong and regenerate much faster than humans. Fagiola. Soldiers. Perfect soldiers. Fusibility. Soldiers that can't go anywhere. That's the only problem. They need roots to live. Fagiola. I see. And Arcibaldo has the solution. Fusibility. Yes. The notes Rickon Furby found are old. Over the last few years Arcibaldo has made great progress with his research. But he keeps it secret for fear it might be discovered and fall into the wrong hands. Fagiola. Like Rickon Furby's, for example. Fusibility. That guy has no scruples. He only thinks about how much he'll get rich selling mercenaries to the highest bidder. Fagiola. And how does he control them? Fusibility. Easy. Vocal imprinting. They just have to hear the master's voice while growing in the soil, and they'll stay loyal for life. Fagiola. Very interesting. Thanks for the information. Fusibility. And my session? What's the verdict? Am I crazy? Fagiola. No crazier than the others in here. Late at night. The asylum is silent. Too silent. Fagiola is awake. Sitting on the bed, eyes wide open, hands clasped. A gurgling sound. Coming from the toilet bowl. Fagiola approaches, suspicious. He kneels down. Puts his hand inside. Deeper. More. He touches something slimy. Slippery. Cold. He pulls out a carp. Radioactive. Alive. Fagiola. Perfect. This is exactly what I needed. Fagiola begins to clean the fish. Inside the carp's belly, he finds a large key with a rubber head. Fagiola. What is this thing? On the keychain, a tag, Banani house, mailbox. Fagiola. Banani's mailbox keys. What a lucky coincidence. They might come in handy. He puts the key in his pocket. Then he crushes a piece of the fish until it becomes a pulp, which he sets to dry on the radiator. The next morning, he obtains a poisonous powder, which he hides inside a candy wrapper. During breakfast, Fagiola waits until he is the last one left. He distracts the nurse in the cafeteria with some chatter. Then, secretly, he pours the powder into the nurse's coffee. The nurse doesn't notice and keeps drinking the coffee. One sip. Another. He blinks. He staggers. He falls flat among the trays. Fagiola, calmly, steals the badge from the nurse's pocket. He walks through the corridors. Avoids the cameras. Enters the archive. Searches. Takes Professor Fusabili's notes. Leaves the building. Spends 2 hours digging in the asylum garden. Then disappears. No one stops him. No one notices. The villa is huge, all wood and glass, wedged between rocks and maritime pines. It doesn't look like a house. It looks like an abandoned library inhabited by a madman. As soon as they enter, Arcibaldo announces, "You are my guests. But beware of Beethoven." He doesn't finish the sentence before a big black dog appears out of nowhere and heads straight for Banani. Ah! Banani screams, "It's because I smell like fried food. I got grease on my pants at breakfast." He runs. Beethoven chases him through 3 rooms, a veranda, and 2 somersaults. Only Igor saves him by throwing a tennis ball out the window. Beethoven looks at him admiringly and rushes after the ball, smashing the glass like a bullet. Banani collapses on the carpet, panting. "Why does everything happen to me?" Later, in the kitchen. "Okay, at least I'll make an egg." "Just one," says Banani. He takes one. It falls. He takes another. It slips. The third one cracks in midair. The fourth one explodes in the hot pan. The fifth is rotten. The sixth, he accidentally throws it at Ravioli. "You are officially banned from the kitchen," says Igor, sitting on the counter, munching on an organic cookie. "But I just wanted to make an egg." Arcibaldo watches them silently. Then he sighs. "Sooner or later I'll have to tell you everything. But now, I'll take you to the laboratory." Fagiola arrives at Banani's house. Fagiola. "Banani. I still had your file at home. The house is empty." Fagiola. "The wife ran away again for 6 months. She must have started a new invention in the garage." Fagiola pulls out an old sock and gives it a voice. "Tony the sock. We know everything about you. Ha ha ha. You were our patient. Ha ha ha." Fagiola finds the garage door open. Fagiola. "He left in a hurry. Something important, or explosive." Tony. "More the first, since the garage is still intact." Ha ha ha. Fagiola enters. Silence. Chaos everywhere. On the table, an opened registered letter. He takes it. Reads silently. Fagiola. "Insurance expired 2 months ago. You could expect that from Banani." Next to the envelope, there's a yellow sticky note with handwriting. "Inheritance Notary 118, Girasoli Street, Igorate on the Po. By the 31 St. Fagiola. Notary. Inheritance." So Arcibaldo left him everything. He leaves the house. Looks at the overgrown garden. An insult to the idea of order. In the window glass, his reflection turns into Alfonso Fagiola, the imaginary father. "Alfonso. You can't leave it like this." Ho. He opens the trunk of his old sedan. Takes the legendary hoe from 1915, stolen from the mining museum. He digs furiously. As punishment. On principle. Because discipline starts in the garden. After 20 minutes, he throws the hoe into the trunk with a clang. Then he sees Banani's car. Olive green. Forgotten under the sun. The keys are, as always, on the rear spare tire. Fagiola. No insurance. No maintenance. Just recklessness, and an inheritance coming. He gets in. Starts the engine. Peels out. Fagiola. "Don't worry, Banani. I'm just going to talk to the notary. My way." Fagiola looks at the hoe in the rearview mirror on the back seat. Meanwhile, Arcibaldo sits at the large table in the villa. It's an empty room, filled only with light and silence. With solemn calm, he places in front of Banani a file sealed with grey duct tape. This is everything. My research. The results, the formulas, the applications. And the consequences. Banani looks at him, opens his mouth to say something, but nothing comes out. Rickon Furby is no longer around. At least for now. That information is safe as long as it stays with you. Me? I even lose the keys to the fuel tank. Arcibaldo smiles, then grows serious. My plan is simple. Destroy everything. The machine. The field. The reagents. The data. Everything. Everything. He points to his head. The only copy remains in here. And it won't last forever. In the underground laboratory, the atmosphere is tense. Cables dangle, instruments blink. Papaya holds his phone. His hand trembles slightly. Record, says Arcibaldo. In the video, he shows the machine, the prototypes, the greenhouses with mutant plants, explaining everything in detail. Then he looks straight into the camera. This research is too dangerous. I hope the International Ethics Committee understands. And acts. Urgent regulation is needed. Before some other unscrupulous criminal like Rickon Furby gets their hands on it. Papaya saves the video. I'll take it to Capopolis, he says. Good. Now get out of here. He escorts them back along the way they came. Then Arcibaldo nods goodbye and disappears into the tunnel between the two rocks. 10 minutes later, an explosion shakes the ground. A column of fire and smoke rises beyond the mountains. The laboratory no longer exists. Far out at sea something moves. It's the homemade submarine. Slow, but steady. Inside, Arcibaldo smiles. And whistles. Arriving at Papaya's car, the four decide what to do next. Papaya. Now I think we should go back home. Banani. I don't see what else we should do here. Ravioli. Also, the ice cream shop only opens on weekends. Igor. Let's hope we all make it back in one piece. Unanimously decided, they set off. Papaya talks on speakerphone with Clara. Papaya. Hello, Clara. Clara. So. How did it go? Papaya. A long story. We're on our way back. I'll tell you when I get there. Igor. Get the popcorn ready. Meanwhile, Fagioli has arrived at Arcibaldo's villa. But he finds only smoke, dust, and rubble. Fagioli. I can't believe it. I lost them by a hair. Alfonso, Fagiola changing voice. Idiot. Look at all that land. Go till it right now. But from a turned-off monitor appears static, then the psychologist, one of Fagiola's multiple personalities. Psychologist. Remember, Fagiola, control is everything. And with those notes, you can create vegetable soldiers who will till the land for you. You just have to leave that land as it is. Fagiola. I know. But it's stronger than me. I have to till it. Psychologist. It'll take you hours. And you'll lose track of the four idiots. If they manage to get home, we lose. Fagiola. Right? I have to resist. Sorry, father. Alfonso. Rebel son. Get on your knees on the chickpeas right now. Psychologist. There's no time for that. Control is above discipline, remember. Fagiola. Yes. Control. Fagiola runs to the car and heads back after the four. It's now late at night. Papaya has been driving for a few hours. The others have fallen asleep in their seats. Banani is snoring as usual. Ravioli talks and chews in his sleep. Igor sleeps with his mouth wide open. Papaya's eyelids are heavy, and he decides to stop at a scenic overlook just outside the city. Arcibaldo's dossier is safely locked in the trunk, next to the box of money. But none of the four suspects that Fagioli has followed them. He drove on back roads with Banani's uninsured car, navigating by instinct, and watched them from afar. Papaya pulls over the car and falls asleep. Fagioli advances from the shadows, with the hoe slung over his shoulder and an identical folder under his arm. This is the moment. He starts pounding on the windshield with his hands to get their attention. The four wake up with a start. Banani chokes on his saliva. Papaya. I can't believe it, that's Fagioli. Yes. It's me. Fagioli, your psychologist. And I think this is yours. Fagioli shows them the fake dossier, then throws it to the ground and theatrically destroys it with blows from the hoe. Papers fly everywhere, some with Banani's drawings, others with real graphs, still others probably recipes scribbled by Ravioli. The four rush forward, panicked. Fagioli. As he tears apart the fake folder. I followed you. I knew everything from the start. This research is an offense to agriculture and tradition and must be destroyed. Banani. No. No. Stop. You don't understand. Ravioli. But how did he get it? Igor. The trunk is locked. Papaya. We have to get out and stop him. Ravioli. But he has a hoe. Didn't you see? He's dangerous. Igor. I completely agree with Ravioli this time. After making sure he's shredded the fake folder, Fagioli turns and disappears into the surrounding bushes. The four jump out of the car toward the torn papers. Papaya. How did he find us? Ravioli. Did he know about the research? Banani. And how did he get it? Igor. This whole thing feels like a scam. Fagioli takes advantage of the confusion. Silent as an onion thief, he opens the car door, pulls the trunk lever, grabs the real folder, tucks it under his jacket, and then vanishes into the bushes, leaving behind only a distant echo. Ho once, ho forever. While the four gather useless pieces, the truth is already far away. Fagioli has the dossier. And a plan in mind. Papaya. We lost it. Destroyed. Useless. Banani tries to pick up pieces here and there and put them together haphazardly. Banani. Maybe with some clear tape. Ravioli. Listen. Let it go. Maybe it's better this way. I don't like a future where eggplants taste like pizza. Igor. That was totally unpredictable. At least the decision to go to the beach worked. Even if the result doesn't change. Total failure. As usual. After a while, they gather courage and walk away, leaving what's left of the fake folder right where it lies. Life goes on quietly for a few weeks. Quiet in the sense that nobody explodes, nobody gets chased by forensic police, nobody throws pizzas into traffic. The four scientists each return to their own homes. Banani continues with his latest experiment in the garage. Ravioli enrolls in an evening pizza-making course. Papaya goes back to work and his busy family life. Igor watches everything, as always, with the look of someone who understands too much and has decided to pretend otherwise. Meanwhile, Fagioli finds a job at a greengrocer, rents a small studio apartment, and starts studying the notes. He flips through the notes, dumps them on the table, studies them upside down, sniffs them, shakes them. What is this? A formula? Or a shopping list? He really tries. But with arrows, crooked drawings, and incomprehensible calculations, he only ends up getting frustrated. He randomly opens a page, warning, if you press here it explodes, maybe, dot. He closes it.